Hey everyone, and welcome to episode number 43 of The Kickabout with me, Chris, and as always, Dan and Fran are with us.
Hi.
It's official, guys. It's coming home. It is coming home. But before we get into that, let's talk some news on the show. YouTube channel is now live, and we've had lots of people enjoying my Carolina Reaper challenge from the other week. And as promised, all the podcasts are up. Including last week, so the idea will be that every podcast that goes out will release at the same time on YouTube that it does in the audio format that I think the majority of you listen to. We've got some other ideas of stuff we're going to put on there. I managed to get LMA Manager 2007. Managed to get that working the other day. So we're tempted to maybe do a little series of YouTube videos, just a little blast from the past and go back through and relive our childhoods and look at some of the names. Like I was looking at the other day, like Alessandro Nesta. Do you remember Cannavaro? D'Alessandro, do you remember him? Yeah. Played for Pompey, those sorts of names.
No, I don't remember any of them.
Prime Charisma.
Oh yeah, I mean he would probably only been about 35 in 2007, wouldn't he? So yeah, that's cool. And then on Friday this week, for the England-Scotland game, we are doing a live stream. Our first one ever. So we'll be live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. We are going to do a little watch along with the England-Scotland game. Obviously, we can't show you the game on YouTube for obvious copyright reasons, but we will set the timer in the
see
bottom.
Our beautiful faces.
Exactly. We'll set the timer on the bottom so that you can, if you wanted to, you can pause your own live TV and sort of watch at the same time with us so you can get live reactions. And we'll just chill out with a drink or two and watch England game. And hopefully we'll watch us smash the Scottish.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I think that's everything for the moment. Let's start the show as we always do then with this. Dan the Stat Man.
My stat last week was about Jude Bellingham, and it's about him again because he smashed another record. He became the youngest ever player to appear in a European Championship final for any nation. But can you tell me who the previous record holder was?
Oh man!
So,
is he recent?
2012.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I was going to give you a clue. I don't know whether to give you the player name and then you tell me the nation, or the nation and you tell me the player name.
Okay, we'll leave that to the end. Leave that to the end. I don't know whether it would be... If you say nation, I reckon I might get it. No, you tell me. Would I get it if you give me the nation?
I don't know how well you know your other nation players.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll catch up with that at the end of the show. Let's do a quick Fantasy League update because we pumped this a little bit on social media over the last week or so. We ended up with 53 teams in our league, which is pretty damn awesome. That's what happens when you put a 50 quid prize on it.
Only 5 managers.
Yeah, there are a few people that have gone a bit crazy. There's 3 people with 5 teams in there. We'll wait and see how it all plays out. I was a bit confused with how the transfers work, but apparently maximum of 20 up to 3 a day is how it works. So I've seen a lot of people changing their teams and massively overloading their teams with one team or another's players like Italy or Netherlands. But you can only do that so much because you'll run out of transfers. So
we're only on day 4.
Exactly. So I'm thinking these people are going to peak way too early if you keep doing that. So, but I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm currently sitting in a nice 8th position there with 52 points.
Nice.
Where are you, Daniel?
I think I'm 10th.
You are 14th.
I'm 14th.
You've gone down. But you're doing okay. So who's at the bottom? Let's have a look. Who's at the bottom? Oh, that's one of the ones with...
One of Josie Dean's 20 teams.
Dan Cross, 8 points. Well played. Who's he got in his team? Let's have a little look.
Schmeichel, Alba, Hernandez.
I mean, that's not an awful team, but he's picked Harry Kane. He didn't do much. Jack Grealish didn't even play.
Lewandowski didn't do anything.
Lucas Hernandez.
Yeah, he's a French left back.
I didn't... Is he? Okay, I could have sworn they didn't take him.
He's there.
Okay.
He wouldn't be in the team if he was.
Well, yeah, that's very true. That would be a bit horrible. And then top of the league at the moment is Josie. So Josie Dean
bottom and top.
Bottom and top, yeah. With 73 points. At the moment, it's virtually an entire Belgium and Holland team with Kyle Walker there. Who obviously she ran out of transfers, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, hopefully that will start to fill out a bit as we get through. 50 quid for the winner. Right, let's get into why we're really here, people. It is coming home, as we know. I mean, let's have a quick group poll to start with. We won't show our hands because this is an audio podcast, it won't really work. But who was surprised and a bit disappointed, maybe even angry, at that starting lineup when it was announced?
Yeah, 100%.
I was fuming.
Yeah. Did you see Southgate out was the highest trending thing on Twitter?
Oh man.
I was fine with it.
Well, only because Trippier was playing.
Hashtag Team Trippier. The only thing that, obviously, I just wanted Grealish to play. The rest of it, like Foden, Mount, happy as Larry.
Yeah, okay.
Did question Raheem, but then he turned out to be...
Yeah, that one worked out quite well. I should say as well, if you can hear a whirring in the background, it is like 28 degrees in here. So we've got a fan running, so I make no apologies for a slight background whir if you can hear it. So yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise for me was the left-back situation, because all of the conversations that we've had and that everyone seems to have been having is about who's going to play at right-back, which of the three, is he going to deploy it as a 5? At no point did we think that he would actually drop one of Chilwell or Shaw, because, you know, Chilwell's just won the Champions League. Shaw's had the best season of his career. Why on earth, especially as you're playing a 4 as well, you're not even playing a back 5, why on earth would you, drop one of those two? But he did, and it worked out.
I mean, to start with, I'm glad he did play a 4. I thought he would go with a back 5.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he showed some positivity with a back 4. I think he said that he played Trippier because he wanted as much experience in the team as possible.
Do you think that in the back of Southgate's mind he was thinking the World Cup, and he was well, not only the free
kick. I think having players in there that sort of remember that.
Yeah, because it was the starting. Certainly the attacking part of Croatia's lineup was, I think, virtually identical to the team that played us in the World Cup semi-final. So, granted, that was 3 years ago, which seems ridiculous to think it's that long ago. But I wonder if he's remembering, right, that player was pretty hot. We didn't do a good job of dealing with him. Let's stick Trippier on him. I think that side would have been Kramaric, I think was that side.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, fair play, it worked out. And Sterling was the other big inclusion. I think most people, I think everybody wanted Grealish to start, but everyone expected Sterling to start. I think that's the easiest way to say it, because everyone knew that Sterling is liked by Southgate, and I think everyone accepted that chances are he was going to play, but it didn't make the reaction to the selection any better. But fair play to Sterling. I thought he played very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, every sort of shot that Southgate went with came off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Every position that everybody probably criticised came off. The only one I'd say that wasn't great was Kyle Walker.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. But I mean, for Sterling, it's his first goal in a major tournament for England, which is quite surprising. This is his third major tournament, I believe, for England.
I thought he scored at the World Cup.
No, he was one of England's best players in the World Cup, I thought, for his work rate and everything else. But yeah, he didn't actually score. And I felt like he looked a very different player to what we saw at Man City towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And there was something I saw that alluded to the fact that actually Sterling had said there was a reason. There were many reasons why he wasn't scoring at Man City. And I don't know whether he was alluding to, like he's not happy at City or whether he doesn't like the rotation.
Did he fall out with Pep?
Yeah, I mean, some players, not saying that he is one of them, but some players are better in a national shirt than a club shirt, and some players are so much better in a club shirt than a national shirt. It's just the way it works sometimes. I guess with different setups and stuff, isn't it? Different tactics. But I mean, Pickford's obviously one of those players that's much better in an international shirt than he is in a club shirt.
Yeah, no, I agree. Obviously, a bit of revenge on the cards. How would you describe the performance of England? Because we've waxed it on. We'll talk about people like Calvin Phillips in a minute, but it felt to me like it wasn't really a particularly brilliant display from England. It was just very professional.
I feel like the start was quite good. The first 20 minutes, we were really going for it.
If I were to describe it, I would say job done.
Yeah, professional.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, it didn't keep me on the edge of my seat type thing. I mean, there were a couple of moments when Foden hit the post early on and stuff like that. But I mean, Harry Kane, I wouldn't have even known he was playing.
No. We have a quick word on Foden and his haircut. Do we like the Gazza look?
Yeah, love
it. Yeah.
I mean, you know why he's done it, just for all the media.
Yeah, but I mean, he's obviously got a lot of confidence going into the tournament, which is great. So
yeah, no. But I mean, in terms of the actual result, you say it's job done. I mean, it's for the implications. It's the first time England have actually won an opening match at a European tournament.
Yeah.
And it's effectively the first time that we're not really chasing the other group games.
No. Especially with 3 teams going through now.
But we don't actually want to win the group, do we?
Well, I don't know.
Before I was thinking, considering
ideally we would want to come second.
If you're thinking tactically.
Yeah, if you think tactically, you probably want to come second. But for me now, like, because when I think back to the World Cup, all that's in my head is that we played 2 tough teams and we lost 3 times.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, oh, we got to the semi-final. I'm like, yeah, but we didn't play anyone. So if we're going to go far in this tournament, I'd like to be able to say, well, we knocked out Spain or Germany or something like that.
And the thing is with the Euros is that it does condense all of the good teams very, very quickly once you get into the knockout stages. And the very fact that we've got that ridiculous group of death with Portugal, France and Germany just shows you how many great teams there are and the way that the groups have worked out. So it would be very easy to say, let's take second place and let's go and play someone maybe like Sweden from their group. But even if we win that game, we've got 3 games against probably very, very big opposition unless they get surprised by another team. So
and I think if we win our group, we play more games at Wembley, which is obviously a positive factor.
And home advantage, I mean, it has been proven down the years, 1966 and 1996, both home tournaments where we really performed. So if we can keep the games at home,
and
absolutely.
Mean, the Russian World Cup, Russia got to the semi-finals.
Yeah. South Korea, Japan, they got to the semi-finals.
South Africa got out of their group, which they never usually do.
Yeah, well, they don't even get to the World Cup usually. It's to not chase the game. It takes the pressure off, to not chase the group. It takes the pressure off the following games against Scotland and Czech Republic. And actually now you would argue that the biggest crunch game, and I'm very much making an assumption here that England, in theory, should now be pretty comfortable in the rest of this group. We'd only need to win one of our last 2 games to make sure we go through. So the big game really is probably Czech Republic against Croatia.
They look very good against Scotland, actually, and they're a very tall team as well, and a very physical team.
Set pieces, they're going to be very strong. But Croatia obviously
I can't see Trippier playing in that game because he's very short.
Reece James will be in for that.
Oh, let's not pick on him.
But yeah, I mean, Croatia, they came into the tournament with quite a poor record. I think they'd only won 2 from their last 9. But they are historically a team that usually turns up at a big tournament. But now they're up against it because if they don't win that game, then they have to beat Scotland in their last game or whenever they play them. I'm not sure if it's next or not. Yes, I guess it would be because we've got Scotland next.
Yeah, they beat Czech Republic.
Croatia would have to then beat Scotland. And that would only give them 4 points, which means that that's not a guarantee to go through. I know you said that third places go through, but not all of them.
No,
2 of the 8.
4 out of 6.
I thought it was more than that. I thought it was 6 out of the 8. How many groups are there?
Is there 8 groups? I thought there was.
Because we're going to our last 16, right? So we need 16.
Maybe it's 6 out of 8 then.
There's 6 groups, which mean the top 12 go through. So then it would be 4. Then you're right.
Yeah, I don't get very good signal in.
We'll say 4 from the 6. We'll double check it. But
I'll let you know about half hour when it loads.
No, I mean the point I'm trying to make is that it's not all of the third place teams that go through, whether it's 4 or whether it's 6. And 4 points, that's not going to be a guarantee to go through. It'll be close, but it's not a guarantee.
4 or 6.
4 or 6. There we go. Massive pressure on them, and as World Cup finalists as well. So let's go back to the game itself. Obviously, the plaudits have mainly been aimed at Calvin Phillips, one of the most inexperienced players in the team. What did you rate of his? What did you make of his performance?
Insane.
Yeah, like they said, a Yorkshire Perlo.
Yorkshire Perlo.
Yeah.
I mean, I expected both of them to, because to me, when I first saw that team, I thought it was going to be 2 players that sit in front of the defence, and would be quite negative. But I mean, he spent more time. I mean, he was put further up than Harry Kane a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, Harry Kane started to come a lot deeper when he wasn't getting the ball. But yeah, I mean, I keep thinking back to the whole Lampard-Gerrard argument of years ago where they kept saying, can they play together? And that criticism or that argument has been thrown at Rice and Phillips in the short time that Phillips has been in the team, because everyone's like, oh, they're too similar, they play the same way, they can't play together. Yeah. Well, this proves they can, because whether it was a deliberate ploy from Southgate, as you say, Phillips played a lot further up, still covered the ground defensively, he wasn't caught out of position. But it really worked. Rice held the line pretty well, did a very understated but good performance, I thought. But yeah, Phillips going forward, I mean, he just kept finding those gaps. He was also playing like a number 10 sometimes.
Yeah. And he was getting involved in everything, every tackle, every pass that go through. He was our most dangerous man, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so.
The only thing I would say is, does Henderson get back in that team when he's fit?
No.
I think it goes back to this loyalty thing with Southgate, because if Phillips and Rice continue to perform like that, they're clearly the future of the England team. I think
it'd be good to build a partnership.
Absolutely. And I think that Henderson is not getting any younger. He's done a fantastic job for club and country over the last few years. But I think there must come a point in Southgate's mind where loyalty has to come out of the equation. You can't keep saying but I trust him. It's like, well, but you've got two players that have just played large parts of a European tournament. But it depends what he does, because Henderson is fit to play.
Yeah.
He's not fit to play 90 minutes, I would doubt.
No.
And questions remain over his match sharpness. But there's, it wouldn't surprise me if he rung the changes against Scotland, for example, in the next game.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me to see Henderson in there for Phillips, which would be ridiculous for me. I think Phillips has to start, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did drop him.
Maybe just stick to his card tricks and quizzes.
Oh man, that was funny. But yeah, I mean, with the Scotland game coming up, I do feel like he will ring the changes, though. I think
he will switch it. I think Grealish will play.
I think Grealish will play over... It'd be weird, because I think Grealish will play over Sterling.
I feel like he'll bring on Rashford for Foden. I don't think he want to have both Foden and Grealish in the same team, because they're both similar players. I think he wants... Because you've got Rashford and Sterling.
I think he wants an out-and-out winger to run.
I think he wants a winger to get in behind, like a Rashford or a Sterling, and then a playmaker like a Foden or Grealish. I don't think he'll play both in the same team. Yeah,
so do you think that he would therefore drop both of them? Do you think? Because I'm not sure in the long term how... I mean, I'll get to the point...
Yeah, I mean, you need to build momentum. You can't keep swapping, the full sort of 11 every game.
Yeah.
You need to be trying to build a team. So ideally, you'd go out with potentially the same team, but then you can't leave Grealish and that on the bench. I think in everybody's mind, everybody wants to see Grealish, Kane and Foden. Yeah. I just don't think he will go with those three because those two, because they're quite similar.
Yeah.
I think he wants that player that will get him behind, especially with the fact that Harry Kane constantly drops so deep.
Yeah.
There's never anybody in behind.
Do you think the midfield three is pretty set, though? Do you think Phillips, Rice and Mount is the way forward?
Yeah. I can't see anybody getting him ahead of them, to be honest.
No. And then what about defensively? I mean, we raised question marks about Tyrone Mings. I actually thought he was pretty good. John Stones looked okay. I think if Rice and Phillips can continue to play the way that they are, having that blockade in front of them is actually going to massively help them, because it will take the pressure off them.
Yeah. Soufal was... Yeah, well, Soufal was very good at getting up and putting crosses in for Czech Republic, and Schick got on the head of almost all of them. So we'd need a defensive left back. I don't know whether you would go with Trippier again for that, or whether you would go for like a Luke Shaw or Ben Chilwell.
It depends who he thinks is more disciplined. I feel like...
I don't think it'd be Luke Shaw. I feel like
it will be Chilwell. Yeah. It will be Chilwell, I think.
He didn't even make the squad.
No, I was quite surprised at that.
Which is really strange. I feel like Luke Shaw is better going forward than Chilwell overall. I know they've got... We said this last week. They've got better qualities. Well, they've got differing qualities, but I think as an overall package, I think Chilwell is a better defender and Shaw is a better... is better going forward. So yeah, but I think Reece James might come in for Walker.
I would hope so. And then I don't know what's happening with Maguire, but if he's slowly getting fit, maybe in for Mings, although Mings didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. I just feel like he's got a mistake in him that could cost us a penalty or something like that.
The thing is, I mean, it's been a long season in the Premier League for everybody, really, not just the Premier League, around Europe. And I feel like if he starts rotating a bit, you've got two ends of the scale here, because you've got the fact that the players will believe that they've got a role to play. They will be sitting there thinking, right, it's not just his favourite 11 and I'm only going to play if someone gets injured. They'll be thinking, right, there will come a time where there's a certain scenario that Southgate's played out and he'll want me to do the job, which quite clearly was proven with Trippier playing left-back over Chilwell and Shaw. But on the other side of the coin, as you said earlier, is the fact that if you do continually rotate the team, yes, you're keeping them fresh, but you're running the risk of not building those partnerships. Yeah. It works for a team like Guardiola because they train and play every day of the week. Yeah. But when they're not, in the same squad and training together all the time, I'm not sure that it works. So
I don't think we've ever really had this problem before as a nation, like so many good players on the bench.
It's a struggle.
Because I don't really see where Jadon Sancho gets in the team.
Well, he didn't he?
No, but that's what I mean. I don't know, unless you just play him to give him some game time. I can't really.
Out of the starting 11, who do you think will be in the starting 11 again on Friday?
Well, I don't know if he'll rotate. What I would do is rotate like your your Foden and Grealish and your Sterling and Rashford, and then I would just swap those two over.
I think full-backs and 2 wide players. I think they're the ones that will change. I think everybody else will stay the same. With the I would suggest, so if we beat Scotland, and I would hope that we do, with no disrespect to Scotland, but I would hope that we would get past them. That would put us on 6 points. That basically guarantees top of the group. I would think that he would then ring the changes in their third group game.
I would probably put someone like Harry Maguire in, try and get him some match fitness. Maybe Henderson, try and get him some match fitness.
Yeah.
But I would like to see those sort of players just as like coming in to get some match fitness, not as like they're going to be. Although I'd like to see Maguire,
not as a big team.
I think Maguire potentially should be, as we go through the latter stages, hopefully integrate into the team and maybe get a first team spot. But
if Maguire is only, let's say we're going to meet the quarterfinals, Maguire becomes fully fit in the quarterfinals. If Mings and Stones have been doing well, do you throw Maguire in over one of those and when you get to the quarterfinals?
I mean, if Mings, it's tough because who would you trust more against like a Spain or a France or a Germany? Would you trust Tyrone Mings or would you go with Harry Maguire?
I know what you mean, but I think it would be, you would need...
it would be a big call.
Yeah, you'd need bollocks bigger than what Southgate
is currently playing well and you take him out and then we lose, they would say, well, why did you take Mings out? And then if you don't swap him over and Mings has a bad game, you say, well, why didn't you swap him out?
I don't think John Stones would get.
I don't know. I think John Stones would be in the team for the entire, unless he, for the game against, say we win against Scotland and then he just plays Ben White and Harry Maguire or something for the Czech Republic game. I don't know.
No, I think so. Right, okay. And then final question, I think I certainly was doing the traditional England fan thing of being a little negative going into this tournament, of thinking that England might really struggle, and I honestly saw them flopping quite hard, if I'm being honest. The professional way in which we did the job on Sunday gives me hope for the tournament. I don't still think that we'll get very deep in the tournament, but I like to think that if we can maintain that level of professionalism and up the quality a little bit, that we can do something. What about you guys? Has that performance on Sunday changed your outlook of what you think England are going to do?
Not really. That Croatia team were quite an Asian team.
Do you remember any of it?
No, not really. I had to rewatch the game.
Would you like to explain to our viewers what you were doing on Sunday, Dan?
Being very sick.
And what was the cause of that sickness, Dan?
Alcohol consumption.
Alcohol consumption. Okay.
I had a mild case of amnesia. All I can remember is celebrating the goal. And that is it. I had to rewatch the game to actually know what happened.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say there was severe dedication going on today because Dan was meant to be working today at my dad's house, and he sent me a picture about 3:00 this afternoon with a picture of my dad's telly because he was putting his feet up, eating a sandwich that my mum had made for him, watching the Scotland game. So we put that down to work expenses and just a bit of research. So, right, okay, let's move on then and just talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that went on at the weekend. Now, it was a great weekend for football fans with the Euro starting. Everyone loves a good summer international tournament. But there were 2 very sad stories over the weekend. The first, I feel like, somewhat got lost in the news as a result of what happened to Christian Eriksen, which we'll get to in a second. But there was an England fan who actually fell from the stands at Wembley. Obviously, they were running at a massively reduced capacity of about 18 or 19,000. I'll be honest, not a great deal seems to be known about the incident. We don't know any details about the person involved. We don't know the severity of the injury other than that it's quite serious. They were treated at the scene and then taken to hospital, but that is all we know at this stage. So we wish whoever it is the very best, but it does sound like when you hear someone has fallen, you immediately start thinking, shit, have they fallen from one tier to another?
Yeah, you don't know how far they've fallen, do you, really?
So I do hope that that has a positive outcome. And then, of course, the very distressing scenes in the game between Denmark and Finland involving Christian Eriksen. We've now learned that it was a cardiac arrest that he suffered. He was effectively lifeless on the pitch before he was resuscitated and taken to hospital, where he now is stable and alert and making jokes apparently, and he seems to be very positive, and now the investigations will begin as to how it happened. But you guys obviously saw it live. I only caught the tail end of it because I was travelling at the time, and I had to watch it on the highlights, at which point nothing was really shown. So it was difficult. I was going based off clips people were sending me on WhatsApp and stuff. Not that I really wanted to see it, I'll be honest, but you guys saw it live, so describe what it was like watching that live.
Well, I mean, Fran was upstairs at the time, and I was watching the game, and Denmark had a throw in. Eriksen had just had a shot, I think, and then Denmark had a throw in, and he sort of like stumbled towards the ball. The ball hit his knee, and then he just fell to the floor, and it was a bit. The game sort of moved on, and then they sort of came back and were like, "Oh, actually, this is quite serious."
Yeah,
and
it almost looked like the players went, "Oh shit, is he?
Yeah,
Is he all right?" And then it was the dawned on everybody.
Yeah, it sort of looked like he was having a fit on the floor, and then the medics came sprinting over, and obviously the players didn't look. They looked quite distressed. But then I called Fran down, and we were
I was like, rewind it.
Yeah, I rewound it, and for a while we were just sat there thinking, are we about to watch Eriksen just die on the pitch?
I think that was what it was. I think everyone. Sometimes you just don't expect this sort of thing to happen. So when it does happen, you just kind of brush it off as like, "Oh, he'll get up in a minute, he'll be fine." Maybe a bit of heat exhaustion or something like that. Yeah. And then the longer it went on, the worse it quite visibly became.
It was a long time as well. It was a good 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. So it was very difficult to watch. There has been an awful lot of criticism regarding the coverage from the media. Now, I personally do think they should have cut away. I think they were far too focused on it for too long a time.
Yeah, it's a tricky one though, isn't it? Because part of it, there is a selfish part.
Yeah,
of
I mean, part of me did
human
want to see what was happening.
Yeah,
but I mean, well, you were saying that they couldn't sort of go back to the studio, this, that, and the other, and they couldn't find another sort of camera to focus on. But it's interesting when there's a streaker on the pitch, they manage to instantly move away.
They could have played a vignette or something. They could literally just focus on the fans. But then you forget at the time, like watching it, it's horrible to say, but watching it, I wasn't like, you should peel away now. Because
I kind of wanted to know that he would be okay.
That's the thing, isn't it? You carry on watching not because you're desperate to watch the distressing scenes. You want vindication to see that he's okay. I look at the way. I mean, I'm a big motorsport fan, and when there's, I know that they deal with this on a lot more regular basis, especially in something like the MotoGP. When there's a large accident, I mean, anybody that watched Formula One will remember what happened to Grosjean at the end of last season, where he smashed into a barrier at about 170 miles an hour. The car ripped in two and then burst into flames, and the cameras were on it for a moment, but only when you saw Grosjean getting out. And Formula One as a general rule, or motorsport as a general rule, they will not show. You might see the immediate aftermath, like the wreck of the car, but as soon as it becomes obvious that there's a real injury concern, they pan away and they will not show you a replay until it's confirmed that the driver's okay. If the driver's not okay, to the best of my knowledge, they just won't show the replay.
Yeah.
And going back to your point about the streaker, if you think back to some of the horrific leg breaks in football, once it becomes apparent that there is a serious leg break, they don't zoom in on the injury. They don't, try and find his wife in the crowd or anything like that. They'll pan away, and they don't even show it on Match of the Day normally in the highlights. So it amazes me that they was. I know the pictures come from UEFA or UEFA approved people. The BBC absolutely, or somebody at the BBC absolutely had the power to switch that transmission off, cut to highlights of the game, maybe highlights of yesterday's games or whatever it might have been. But they just didn't. They just kept rolling and rolling, and the scenes that we saw with Eriksen's wife. He's got 2 young children. We saw the players in tears. They were trying to. The thing that got me the most was they tried to form that human wall.
Yeah.
And you can see they were in absolute pieces. And you think, well, they've done the human wall because they don't want you to see. And yet the camera is trying to zoom in between their legs. And at that point, that's when you see the guy get on Eriksen's chest, rip his shirt open and start chest compressions. It's like, this isn't a fucking episode of Casualty.
No.
Like, turn it off. We don't need to see this. But as you say, it's human nature. Part of us is curious to see it which is the same reason why everyone slows down on a motorway to look at an accident on the other side.
I think
you're curious
I was
to see.
Desperate to know that he was alive.
I think it's even more, obviously it's terrible no matter who it happens to, but it's when it's someone you've watched in the Premier League and you know the player, because obviously it happened to that Ajax player a while ago, the youngster that ended up getting brain damage. But although it's very bad, you don't sort of know the player.
Well, no, you've got no connection with it.
Yeah, you just hear about it in the news, but when you're watching a player like Christian Eriksen that you've watched in the Premier League, it seems almost more real.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, I do feel really sorry for his wife because I think what she was going through. And fair play to Kasper Schmeichel. I mean, to think what that guy's gone through the last few years with what happened at the Leicester City's owners, that guy is an absolute leader. If we ever go to war, he is leading the charge. I want him as my team captain because that guy just...
You think he'd be in the British Army, do you?
I will recruit him. He must have English parentage or somewhere down the line, lineage. But I mean, the point I make that he was so forthcoming with the Leicester City stuff. I think he was very pivotal in helping the players get through that. And quite clearly, he would have been hurting from this. But you will see the way he was acting with the players. He was consoling the players. He went over to Eriksen's wife and consoled her.
So did the Danish captain there. Apparently, he pulled out Eriksen's tongue to stop him swallowing it.
Yeah, incredible.
He was like he was right next to him, wasn't he?
So, okay, so I think we've covered that. What about the decision to restart the game? Because that's caused a bit of uproar as well.
Christian, if you're listening, get well soon.
We'll send him a link to the podcast and we'll let him know that we're thinking of it.
Subtitles.
So, what do we think about the decision to restart the game? Because this has caused a lot of talk as well.
I was very surprised they restarted it because I just had BBC on because I had been watching the game and I can't remember what was on it. I had Chris Kamara on it, so that was the only reason I was watching it. And then all of a sudden it just cut away and it went back to Garen Lineker in the studio saying in 5 minutes they were restarting the game. And I was like, oh, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, initially when I saw that, we're part of one or two group messages on WhatsApp, and people were saying, why are they restarting? They shouldn't need to. The Denmark player's not in the right frame of mind. And my thinking was like, well, they must have been spoken to. They must have agreed to this. And as it transpires, they apparently FaceTimed Eriksen at the hospital, who was adamant that they should carry on playing. And now it comes out from Peter Schmeichel, Kasper Schmeichel's father, that UEFA basically gave them three options, which was to either play the game now, play the game the day after, or take a 3-0 loss. So realistically, Denmark their options were pretty crap.
I do kind of get, I think, why they played it, because their headspace would not have been any better the next day.
No, it probably would have been worse. They probably wouldn't have slept very well.
No.
And I mean, it is bad on UEFA to say those sort of three options, but at the same time, I mean, they couldn't just sort of cancel the whole tournament and they couldn't say, oh, we give you a week off.
No.
Because it would have put the whole tournament out of link.
I think it would have been very different, obviously, if Christian Eriksen had passed away. That would have been very different. I could definitely see a situation Denmark pulling out of the tournament.
And you wouldn't blame them, to be honest.
No. But we were talking before we came on air about whether that is coming back to play was an advantage or a disadvantage for Denmark. And as you said, it's so easy to spin that story either way. But for me, I just think, they've expended so much emotional energy. They must be mentally drained having watched one of their friends almost die in front of their very eyes, to then come back and try and refocus on the game and be mentally tough enough to go again.
Yeah, well, I mean, Denmark
really
were clearly in front before the incident happened. And then obviously they went on to lose the game. And I didn't like that the commentators were saying Schmeichel would have saved it in normal circumstances, and people coming out and saying, oh, they shouldn't have played it because they probably would have won the game, this, that and the other. I don't really think that's fair on Finland, because it's not as if, they had a gun to their head and were forced to play. Both teams did agree. And like I said to you, if Denmark had gone on to win it, they would have said they did it for Eriksen, this, that and the other. So for them to go out and lose, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure it did have an impact on how they played, and they probably were drained, but you can't really take it away from Finland and start playing the blame game.
But they were kind of forced to play.
Yes and no.
And in what world are you going to take a 3-0?
No, but they could have played the day after.
If they took,
but it's the same.
but as you said, I think that would have been worse as well.
It would have been worse, yeah.
Or I suppose you could argue that he's alive, he's fine, he's okay. Maybe that would have settled them enough that they could have got a decent night's sleep. Given the options they had to them, I think that it was the best of the three.
I mean, potentially they're still running high on adrenaline, weren't they?
It's a tough situation all round. I mean, it's not like there would have been plans in place for someone to have a heart attack and, what do we do after that?
If he had have died, would the whole tournament have been cancelled?
I don't think so.
I don't think the tournament would have been cancelled.
I feel like what Chris said, Denmark probably would have said, we're not going to continue.
Yeah, I think Denmark would have pulled out in sort of almost in his honour, if you like. I think there would have been lots of memorials and stuff before games, which would have been understandable.
Yeah. And in fairness to Finland, they didn't celebrate their goal. I mean, they celebrated a little bit, but the bloke that scored, he just sort of ran to the fans. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, you do have to. within reason, spare a thought for Finland, because this is their first major tournament.
Yeah.
Their first game they've ever played. It's their first goal they've ever scored. The first time they've won in a major tournament. And the whole thing has been overshadowed.
Bit of a cloud
They won't care. This won't matter to anybody in Finland. They will be far more concerned with the safety of Eriksen, and rightly so. But part of me thinks that was such a historic moment for their country that now is remembered for, unfortunately, the wrong reasons. So it is a shame for them, but hopefully Finland can, because I thought they looked okay in their game.
Yeah.
So maybe they can still get another result in the group stages and then, take some special memories away without it being tainted by what happened to Christian Eriksen.
I mean, like we say, 3 teams go through, so I'm sure Denmark have still got plenty of time to become that
Eriksen
second
their
or
best
third
player?
team. Yeah.
If I'm honest, I don't know huge amounts about the Denmark team, but he'll be one of the best
few,
players.
yeah. Kasper Schmeichel's obviously probably one of their best players.
Højbjerg's in the team.
Højbjerg.
Great player.
Yeah.
Missed a penalty, though.
He did, yeah.
So, yeah, I think we should, first of all, say that Eriksen, we wish him a very speedy recovery. But also, we should take our hats off to Anthony Taylor, English referee. His first game at a major tournament, and he was very quick to react, recognise the danger. And obviously, the medics came on and did their thing. So, massive well done to everybody involved and in saving his life, because we've seen, as you said, the Ajax player. We had Fabrice Mwamba, who was effectively dead for, was it over an hour?
Yeah,
Something stupid.
yeah.
So it is amazing that we can do this and bring people back to life. So fingers crossed for a full and speedy recovery. Whether he plays football again is another question, but I'm sure that that's not at the forefront of his mind right now. I'm sure he's just happy to be alive and happy to be able to see his family. So, right, okay, we will head to a break. When we come back, we will talk more Euro 2020 and we'll do some transfer stories. See you in a minute. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. So before we get on to some more Euro 2020 chat, I believe the transfer window has now officially opened.
It is officially open, yeah.
So
we've started bidding the pennies for Sancho.
So on that note, let's go to some transfer stories, Dan.
So this one I thought was quite interesting. Leicester are plotting a move for Barcelona's Philippe Coutinho.
Ooh.
17 million.
Are you kidding? 17 million. How much did Barcelona buy him for?
150 or something like that.
Fucking hell.
I don't know if they'll get a swift middle finger back or...
That is some incredible business.
Yeah.
It's no wonder they're $1 billion in debt or whatever it is. Oh my word. I mean, if they get Coutinho for 17 million, that's got to be one of the bargains of the century.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate right now, anyway, he's not the player he was when he left Liverpool.
No, and Barcelona should be trying to do everything to get rid of him, don't they? I mean, they loaned him to Bayern for 2 years, I think.
Was it 2 years?
I think it was 2 seasons.
Might have been, yeah. But and he still and he was good at Bayern Munich. I know he didn't play that regularly, but seeing him in the Champions League, he still clearly got it. And I think going to a team like Leicester under Brendan Rodgers, who plays that quite nice, attractive football, I think he could be massive for them. 29
though, would that be a big step down, or?
The problem is with Coutinho is that if it's 17 million, I'd be amazed if another big team doesn't try their luck with him. But it depends what he sees it as. I mean, Leicester they've been so close to the Champions League for 2 years in a row. He went to Liverpool when they weren't anywhere near the Champions League. From memory, I could be lying on that. I don't think it's a bigger step down as you might think. I appreciate Barcelona, so anywhere you go is going to be either sideways or a step down in most cases. So I don't know. I think Leicester are a team on the up. Their recruitment policy is amazing.
The wages he must be on at Barcelona, though, he must be taking a big old pay cut if he goes to Leicester.
Unless Barcelona are so happy to get rid of him that they pay a chunk of his wage. That sort of deal has been done before.
For a team in a lot of debt as well.
Well, I mean, depending on what he's on. I mean, let's say he's on, I don't know, 200k. If they get him off their wage bill, get 17 million and get him off their wage bill for 100k, that's still, I suppose, a good piece of business from their debt point of view, not so much from the profit and loss point of view on the player himself. But and they've just signed Aguero. I don't know what sort of wages he'll be on, but it won't be cheap.
No.
So obviously they've got a good relationship with the bank's managers out there.
Moving on, this one's more of a manager one, and I think one we've all seen coming for a while. But it's Tottenham set to appoint former Roma boss Paolo Fonseca.
This is
Fonseca. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
This is amazing. This is a job swap with Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
You could not make
both
this up.
done crap in their jobs and both got jobs at the opposite teams.
Yeah, and this is a guy who got his team kicked out of the Italian Cup because he made 6 subs. So he seems like the perfect fit for Spurs, really, doesn't he? With some of the Spursy things that goes on. I know it's a bit of a meme, but yeah, I mean, given that they were heavily linked with Poch, that they were linked with Conte, I can't see Spurs fans being massively pleased about this prospect.
No, I'm surprised he didn't go for the Santo, ex-Wolves boss, actually.
I am as well, because I think he's got something about him, and I think he deserves an opportunity. And I don't think Spurs would have been... They wouldn't have been over the moon about it, but I think they would have been considered enough to
he's
say,
into
yeah, we'll give
building
him a
projects
chance.
and stuff like that, which is what I believe Daniel Levy likes. He likes to sort of...
And frankly, it's what Spurs need.
Yeah.
They don't have the squad anymore to be instant success. They need to build again. So, yeah, I mean, time will tell. We've seen, unknown managers before come in and do amazing jobs. I mean, Poch did at Southampton. So, yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not sure Spurs fans will, but...
Yeah. New Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti has asked the club's bosses to make a move for Timo Werner. Somebody, although he was in the Premier League, didn't watch any Chelsea
I was going to say, he clearly wasn't watching Match of the Day every week, was he? I mean, that said, if he goes to a team like Real Madrid, he is going to be playing in frankly, a worse quality league. So he may well end up becoming the striker that he was at Germany.
Yeah.
It's a surprising one, I will give you that. But maybe he thinks he can get one at cut price, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Chelsea are just try and take some cash and then maybe go for like a Kane or a Haaland, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that one will happen. I would be more... I would think he would go more Richarlison than Werner. He knows him, he knows his work rate, he knows his work ethic. Is Richarlison good enough for Real Madrid? That's a different question.
Are Real Madrid any good at the moment?
This is true. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see that one happening, to be honest.
Chelsea have made an improved offer for Inter Milan's 22-year-old Hakimi.
So this is the left back, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently it's 43 million cash plus Emerson Palmieri, who's one of their players that gets loaned out every single season, I think.
Yeah. This is kind of interesting, this one, because you've already got Alonso, you've got Chilwell.
I think he's a right back. Yeah, I believe he's a right back, so that'd be Reece James' competition.
And Azpilicueta.
Yeah.
Azpilicueta's not getting any younger, in fairness. Alonso's not universally liked at Chelsea by the fans. Not sure whether Tuchel likes him or not. I mean, they're in the Champions League again. They obviously just won it. If Tuchel's thinking about, I need more depth in my squad, then maybe it seems a lot of money to spend when they're supposedly chasing Haaland.
Yeah, 43 million's a lot. I mean, I know we spent a lot on Wan-Bissaka, but it's a lot for a right back, isn't it? When you'd probably say the one position they're missing is a striker, clinical striker.
A fullback doesn't strike me. I mean, Chelsea fans may disagree with me, but a fullback doesn't strike me as a position that Chelsea desperately need to fill. I would say they need a striker, maybe another centre back.
Yeah. Especially with the injuries of Thiago.
Thiago's not getting any younger. I know Christensen and Zuma can do a job, but are they a defensive pairing that's going to win you a league if Thiago's not around?
Yeah.
Probably not.
West Ham, Southampton and AC Milan are in contention to sign 24-year-old Junior Firpo from Barcelona.
This is another fullback, isn't it?
It is.
This is a left back. So one of the positions that West Ham absolutely need to fill is another left back. I rate Quezrel. I know a lot of West Ham fans don't. I think, generally speaking, everybody knows he's great going forward, but defensively he can be caught out of position, and often, we concede goals or concede good chances from his side. Masuaku, as far as I'm concerned, should be banned from playing left back for West Ham. I don't believe under any circumstances he should be allowed to play there. He is far better as a wing back and going forward. So, yeah, and with a European... hopefully a decent European campaign to come, we do need depth, and left back is definitely a position. So I don't know much about this guy, but supposedly he's quite highly rated.
Yeah, I think he was one of those sort of wonder kids a few years ago, and career's maybe gone a little bit quiet. Especially when you go to a club like Barcelona at a young age, you're always
so much expectation, isn't there? So, I mean, if the price is right, I mean, I have to say I completely and utterly trust David Moyes and his transfer policy, given his record recently. So, yeah, we'll see.
A couple more. One that will please you. England midfielder Jesse Lingard has told United manager Solskjaer that he wants to remain with the Red Devils after a spell at West Ham.
Ooh,
So
interesting.
here's the thing, right? So I saw this story yesterday, I think, or earlier today, and I looked into it because I saw it come up on my phone. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. But everything that I've seen has suggested that it's a formality for Lingard to go to West Ham. And I looked at this, and this has come from The Sun. Apparently, this is The Sun who broke this.
Oh, okay.
And apparently they've quoted no sources. There's been no real official confirmation that this is true. So I don't know whether they're just spinning the pot here.
Yeah.
But even if he wants to stay at United, do United want to keep him? Because he is a player that they can offload to make more money for someone like Sancho.
I feel like he was not going to get in the team starting 11 anyway. I feel like he's got a good chance of making the next England squad if he's playing regular football.
And he won't at United.
No, I think that's the only thing that didn't get him to the Euros, the fact that he only joined you halfway through the season.
Yeah.
If they'd have had a full season at West Ham, I recken he'd be in that England team.
Yeah, and I just don't... Everything that's come out, apparently he loved his time at West Ham. Apparently he's... West Ham made it very clear to him that they want him to come back.
And you got European football in the end.
Yeah. So I would still be very surprised if West Ham don't make a really big push to get him. Whether or not Man United end up accepting whatever bid we make is another question. But I think Lingard, I'm hoping, is intelligent enough to understand that he needs to be playing regular football.
Do you think he'd be an idiot to go back to United?
I think he would.
I think he would.
I do, yeah.
I think whether it's West Ham or somebody else, he must understand that he's just played 6 months, probably the best football collectively he's played in his career over that kind of consistency. He's so close to getting back in the England team as a result of playing for West Ham. Helped us get into Europe. I think he'd be crazy to go back.
The only reason I could see him not going is because United is all he knows.
Or they price him out of it.
Yeah.
I know he's only got a year left in his contract. Would United want to risk losing him for nothing next summer?
With Pogba.
Oh my God. If Pogba goes for a second time
for free.
For nothing for Man United, that would be amazing.
90 million on him. That's United summed up. Really.
Oh God, we were having a go at Barcelona's transfer bins earlier.
And last one, Juventus and World Cup winning Italy goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon at 43 is poised to rejoin Parma 20 years after he left the club.
Oh, I mean, Parma is one of those clubs that if they'd have kept their players, they would probably be the biggest team in Italy. Because their team they used to have was ridiculous. But they suffered massive financial issues. I think they ended up getting... having to then what happened to Rangers.
Yeah, I think
they got demoted and went to administration and dropped down the leagues. I can't remember if they're back in Serie A now.
They're in Serie B.
They are in B, okay. But yeah, I mean, I also read that he wants to try and make the next year's World Cup as Italy's third choice keeper. He does. I don't think he knows he's not going to get number one unless a crisis of injuries.
Is he at the Euros?
I would imagine he probably is if they've got three keepers.
Yeah.
I mean, Donnarumma is obviously number one.
I think they got Sirigu.
Yeah, and maybe Buffon's the third.
Maybe he's third.
I haven't looked. But yeah, 43 years old. I mean, this he must have found the fountain of youth because he just keeps playing. Like, I don't know when he's going to stop.
God knows.
And it's not like he's extending his career for the sake of it. He's still doing a job. It's not like he's a really crap goalkeeper that's just training.
I think he could still get into a Premier League team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't be a top one, obviously.
No, it'd be like a Crystal Palace or something. But I think he could easily get the number one spot like a Crystal Palace.
Yeah. So it's amazing that he continues to carry on. Right. Okay. Let's talk about back to Euro 2020. Then let's talk. It still sounds so weird to say when we're in 2021 and we're calling it Euro 2020. Let's talk about the game that happened earlier today. So we're right up to date at the moment. Aren't we? I love these Euros because you can talk about current affairs. Let's talk about the other game in England's group, Scotland against Czech Republic earlier today. Now, Dan, you had a lovely afternoon at my dad's house watching it. Talk to us what you saw of the two teams and should England be afraid of either of them?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we can take either lightly. Even though the game finished 2-0, it was very end-to-end.
Yeah.
I mean, Scotland had plenty of chances. The Czech Republic goalkeeper had a great game. I feel like Scotland, if they could have restarted that game, they would have made a few changes to the way they started it.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I had it on while I was working. I feel like they could still be playing in a few days and wouldn't have scored.
Yeah. And I feel like the likes of maybe Che Adams and that probably should have started for them. But I think he said he went with loyalty for that Lyndon Dykes because he played well against Czech Republic before.
Right.
But Czech Republic, I mean, they had a lot of strong, tall players and they kept putting it into the box, like West Ham's Soufal, constantly putting crosses in.
Yeah.
And eventually they paid off. And then, obviously, there was the second goal that, I mean...
Outrageous goal.
And one of the... someone at the end of the game actually asked that Schick, did you see the keeper off his line? I feel that's a bit of a stupid quote. What, he just hit it? I'm assuming he did see that he was off his line.
Yeah, he's just inside their half with nobody around him. He thought, let's just have a go. I don't really fancy running, so I'm just going to shoot. So, no, I think it's a difficult one for Scotland because, obviously they do come in as the massive underdogs in this group. It's their first tournament for, I think it's like 16 years or something. I felt like the Czech game was their real shot in the dark because on paper at least the games against England and Croatia are going to be very, very tough for them.
Yeah.
If they'd got 3 points against Czech Republic, they maybe nick a point against us or Croatia and put themselves in a reasonable chance of going through. But I think now they have to beat one of us or Croatia to stand any chance of going through.
Yeah, I said to your dad when we were watching it that for both teams this is a must-win game.
Yeah.
And Scotland looked very nervous to start with. I don't know if you saw, but Robertson actually sort of calmed down to everybody because they were just so hectic.
Yeah.
And at 2 points, two Scotland players ran into each other.
I saw that.
Ryan Christie sort of dribbled past a couple of players, and I don't know who it was. O'Donnell, I think it was, just ran flat out into him.
Oh dear, but no, I mean the goal itself was obviously that's going to be a contender for goal of the tournament.
Yeah.
We said earlier about the Croatia-Czech game being more of a crunch game. I can actually see Czech Republic doing Croatia, I have to say. Based on what I saw today, I think physically they could dominate Croatia. Yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to playing them. The only good thing about playing Czech Republic is it's our last game, so hopefully
it'll be done and dusted.
We'll have 6 points by then, and it'll just be a formality. Even if we picked up a point from them, I think we'd hopefully be able to top the group. But I think that would be quite an interesting game between Croatia and Czech Republic because we didn't really see the Croatia that we saw in the World Cup.
As you said, they are an ageing team.
Yeah.
I mean, Modric is not getting any younger.
I don't think they have Rakitic anymore. I think he's retired.
Yeah. Perisic is getting on. Rebic is getting on. Kramaric is getting on.
The goalkeeper, they don't have that Subasic anymore. They've got Livkovic, who plays for Dynamo Zagreb.
Yeah. So they are an ageing team. They're not the same team they were in the World Cup. I don't think they had. Did they have? Was it Vida?
Yeah, he played. Yeah, okay. Lovren didn't play.
Oh, the world's best defender.
Yeah.
Well, when you don't have the world's best defender, you're obviously going to struggle. The first round of group games now are coming to an end. I think the last set is tomorrow with the group of death playing tomorrow. Spain and Sweden are currently playing now. Let's talk about the first game of the season now. I spoke last week about how I felt that Italy might be dark horses. Granted, they were playing a Turkish side who, for some reason, looked complete. I don't know if they were out on the piss the night before, but they looked absolutely shattered to the point where they substituted the entire midfield in the second half, which you don't see very often. Yeah. But Italy, to their credit, were pretty good. I mean, it's not often you see an Italian side being so forward-thinking, high press, high intensity. Usually, they're quite a defensive-orientated team and look to counter. So. Do you think that we're seeing a team that might go deep in this?
I'm still not convinced.
Why do you think they're dark horses?
Because I don't think anyone's really considered them as genuine contenders in this tournament to go deep. They don't concede goals. I know their two centre backs are about 900 years old, but they are still very good. They're very solid players.
They played well. They did do a high press, and I mean Turkey just looked absolutely knackered. And when Turkey attacked, they sort of had, I think they played like 4-5-1. And unfortunately, the 36-year-old Yilmaz up front on his own was on his own. He never had anybody around him, and he had to sort of settle for taking shots like 30 yards out because he had no support.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know you're saying you're not convinced because the fact that Turkey...
If I watch them for the next 2 group games and they play the same and they dominate like they did, then I will agree with you. I just feel like it's a
Turkey
bit of
wasn't enough of a test.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I do think, though, from an attacking point of view, they are going to be dangerous. I think you're right in that they've definitely not been tested defensively yet. They do have an ageing centre-back partnership for sure, so when they come up against a team with some pace up front, that will be a big test.
Yeah, their front 3 look quite dangerous. Immobile, Insigne and Berardi.
Yeah, and they've still got
good.
Belotti to come on from the bench, who's decent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I know that Turkey, for example, the third goal was very much of their own making, but the way Italy just pounced on that and just devastatingly moved it from one side of the pitch to the other before bending it in the far corner, I thought was quite impressive. So, yeah, we will definitely keep an eye on those guys. Let's talk... let me look at my notes. Where do we get to? Belgium. Let's talk Belgium. Perennial underachievers at major international tournaments over the last sort of three tournaments or so. But, you know, they turned out and they put a good performance in without the likes of De Bruyne, Witsel, Eden Hazard, I should say, was on the bench because his brother started the game.
Is his brother better than him?
No, Eden's just been poor.
Yeah, and fat and injured.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Russia weren't amazing, granted. Then, you know, they were clearly not in front of their own fans like they were in Russia, where they're able to, you know, really... Well, actually, no, I'm lying. They were in front of their fans. It was in St. Petersburg, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was that in Moscow? I don't even know.
I don't know, yeah. I don't know. My geography's not my strong suit. But, no, Russia unfortunately weren't...
No, was it in Moscow, I said?
Yeah, Russia weren't quite up to the standard. Belgium put them to the sword. And my question to you, Dan, is when you see Lukaku playing like that and you see him scoring all those goals, I don't know what your thoughts were at the time when Lukaku left, but do you look at him and think, for fuck's sake,
he was shit for United?
There you go.
I don't get why everyone was like... Because I only ever watched him at United.
I think he is a different player now than he was... Because his first touch at United was awful.
Yeah.
I mean...
he was ridiculed a lot.
It made mine look good.
He was
and that's
wanky
saying
at
something.
Compared to... I didn't
But
get
he
the
still
buzz at
scored
that.
a lot of goals.
Yeah, he did. I just don't think he suited the way Solskjaer likes to play.
So was he sold?
He was like the first player Solskjaer got rid of.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That's ballsy to walk in and get rid of Lukaku.
Yeah. But I think Lukaku was already on the verge of wanting to go because of how he played under Mourinho.
Yeah.
And so I think he was already halfway out the door and Solskjaer just opened it for him.
Yeah, I mean, he does look deadly. I mean, he's already said that he's not going to be leaving Inter Milan in the summer, so which I'm sure will please Inter Milan fans to hear that news.
He's my Golden Boot winner as well.
Is he?
Yeah.
I think, well, based on what I've seen, that's a fair shout. I mean, my pick, I think I put Griezmann, and obviously they've not played yet. They don't play till tomorrow.
No.
But yeah, 2 goals for him, 1 goal for Meunier. Do you think when we talk about Belgium, we've often said about this golden generation. I'm not sure whether we're still in that for Belgium now.
I don't think it's as good as the last sort of couple of years. There's no Fellaini there.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the golden generation done, isn't it? But when you push the golden generation tag onto a team, that comes with a certain stigma attached to it.
Yeah, there's a lot more expectation.
A lot more expectation. And granted, they finished 3rd at the last World Cup and they did lose to the eventual winners in the semi-final. But I think for me, and I might be being harsh here, so feel free to tell me I am, but I feel like if you're being called the golden generation, you've got to make a final.
They're the number 1 ranked side in the world.
And they're the number 1 ranked side in the world. So, which I've never quite understood how that ranking system works.
France won the World Cup, but yet Belgium are the best team in the world.
Yeah.
And they came 3rd.
And France beat them in the World Cup. So I don't really understand how that works. But yeah, I mean, we remember, of course, the time back in sort of 2002, 2006 when England had the so-called golden generation. The expectation weighed heavily and we, massively underachieved, as we know. But yeah, I feel like Belgium, maybe this year, is it their year this year? Because they're not the golden generation anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that maybe there are a few more experienced heads in their team, but they have got a few ageing players. Marlon,
I think,
Alderweireld,
Vertonghen. I think they'll go far, but I don't think they'll win it.
Who did you think will win it?
I personally think France will win it, which I think is most people's pick.
Yeah,
France or
between
Portugal.
me, it's Portugal-France final, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then one of those two will win it. But
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Luke, I don't know. I haven't actually seen whether De Bruyne is due back in time for any games.
I mean, obviously that's a big blow. They've got Tielemans and Dendoncker in midfield at the moment, which is nowhere near the likes of De Bruyne and Hazard and stuff like that.
No, I mean, I think Tielemans is class. I'm not sure about Dendoncker, though.
Where does he play? It's Wolves, isn't it?
Dendoncker? Yeah, Wolves, yeah. So, yeah, I think they'll go deep again. But I think that to justify their number one spot and this so-called golden generation, I think they've got to get final this year.
Yeah.
To be classed as a truly great team.
The eventual winners, I guess, but
yeah, I suppose so. I mean, you can take some.
That's what England will be taking when we get knocked out by France. We would have got to the final, but.
Okay, and then finally there was a cracking game last night between Netherlands and Ukraine. I'll ask you a question. Is Memphis Depay the laziest football player you've ever seen in your life?
Yeah, I'm so glad he's not at United anymore. The fact he's been linked with Barcelona baffles me.
He's not actually that good, is he?
When he's got the ball at his feet, technically he's very gifted. And when he wants to run, he's also quite quick.
As in...
I think he was quite wasted out on that left wing, though. I think he probably should be playing as a striker for them.
I'd play him as a number 10. Just get the ball to his feet and just let him, a bit almost like a Payet.
Yeah.
Just let him do stuff. He's very
Apparently
good at
you're being linked with that Weghorst, or however you say it.
I saw that, yeah. I mean, he fits the mould in terms of what
the Dutch
Moyes
Andy
likes.
Carroll.
As long as he's not injured as much as him, I don't care. But no, he fits the mould of a David Moyes player. That's, strong, works hard, leads the line type approach, and he wants to play that one up front. So... 6'6", he's a big boy.
Giant,
but no, I think Depay, he needs. When he was at United, obviously United were in a bad moment anyway.
Yeah,
and I think he did become a bit of an unfair scapegoat. Granted, he was due his criticism. Don't get me wrong, but I think he was scapegoated a little bit at United. And clearly, the move was good for everybody because he has reinvigorated his career at Lyon, but. I watch him and I just think, if I'm a player in your team and I'm watching you just walk around not really chasing down, you must be so irritated. You think, we're professional football players, running is a minimum.
Yeah. Holland don't really worry me as a team, to be honest.
No, they
look
do not.
very open at the back.
They're missing Van Dijk for sure.
Yeah.
That's a big
De Ligt didn't play either.
Yeah.
Van
de Beek pulled out.
Will Van Dijk be back for the next season?
Yeah, he'll be back for the next. He probably could have made the Euros, but I think he said it wouldn't be fair on the team or on Liverpool for him to go and play.
Especially
the fact that their best centre-back's Daley Blind at the moment.
Yeah, I think with Van Dijk, I mean, when any player has been out for as long as he has, inevitably he's going to come back and he's going to tweak a hamstring or he's going to tweak a calf. These little niggly injuries, and once he gets back into it. So I think going and trying to play in a European finals, I think would have been a mistake. So I definitely think he's made the right call. But yeah, they got themselves 2-0 up. Ukraine gave as good as they got. I mean, it was quite an end-to-end game.
The Ukrainian goalkeeper was very poor.
Yeah, you messaged me and you said he was at fault for all 3 goals. I thought that was quite harsh. I think the second goal, is a bit harsh on the keeper.
One, yeah, the first and third.
Certainly the third. I think the third one was dreadful.
Yeah.
The first one, I think that he was so unaware of his surroundings.
Which one was it? The first when he parried it straight to Wijnaldum?
Yeah, because he went to come out and block a cross. It was on the ground.
I feel like he probably could have caught it. I think he's gone for a camera save.
Well, yeah, and I don't. There was nobody around him, and the ball wasn't travelling that fast. No. So I do think he could have, even with the one hand, he could have just sort of used a bit of soft hands technique and just held the ball still.
And if you don't catch it, you don't push it straight back out in front of goal. No, you sort of push it to the side.
I mean, it's a hell of a finish from Wijnaldum.
Oh yeah, it's a great goal. I just felt. I don't know, I felt like he was the weak link for Ukraine because they did so well to get back into that game.
Yeah.
And then that third goal just absolutely stitched him.
Yeah. I mean, it was it looked like it was one of those ones where you see on a Sunday afternoon where the keeper goes down a bit too early, doesn't judge the bounce, and then as he's falling, the ball's going up.
Yeah.
And he just can't adjust himself. So, yeah, it was gutted. I mean, another goal of this tournament contender from Andrei Yarmolenko. So shame he doesn't do that for West Ham.
They obviously hadn't watched him before the game. I feel like everybody knows, don't let him onto his
It's like Iron Robin, isn't it? Just do not show him inside. But I mean, it was a fantastic goal, and it's a shame that comeback didn't mean anything because they did so well to get back in the game, and then that third.
And they were on the front foot as well. Holland were pegged back after that.
So, but no, as you say, I looked at that Holland team and I thought, they did okay, but I don't think they're going to go massively deep in this competition from what I've just seen. And who else is in their group? Is that the group with Macedonia and
Austria?
Yeah. So you would expect them to come through the group.
They'll go through. I mean, I can't see Macedonia getting the third spot, and even if they do, I mean, they're probably not going to be one of those 4 out of 6 teams, are they?
I can see Austria maybe causing Netherlands some problems, though.
Yeah.
Got some good attacking players.
Yeah.
And even Arnautovic didn't even start, but he came off the bench and scored.
Although apparently they struggled against... That's the only game I haven't watched so far is the Macedonia one, but apparently they struggled against them.
So Macedonia came out and they were very, very positive. I'll give them that. Goran Pandev... I mean, I remember back in about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I used to sign him on Football Manager because he was I think he was at Inter Milan at the time, and he was basically the only player that you'd ever heard of. You didn't even know Macedonia was a country, but you did because you bought Pandev on Football Manager.
They've got a great flag.
They have got a fantastic flag, and I think the only time I've ever seen... I actually saw Macedonia live when I was... Let's say about 12 or 13. We had with the local football team with Way Valley. We had we got free tickets to an England game between England and Macedonia at St Mary's in Southampton.
They'd given them away. Pretty
much. I think they obviously knew it wasn't going to be a full house, so they were just giving tickets away. And David Seaman got lobbed directly from a corner. That was just after. I'm pretty sure that was just after the 2002 World Cup when he got lobbed from Ronaldinho, and then he got lobbed directly from a corner. So I think we drew 2-2 that game. I think Beckham scored a really good free kick. But anyway, I digress. So Pandev, 39 years old, I think he is. His hairline is taking a dramatic transformation, which is amazing to see. The greatest comeback of the Euro so far. And they played really well. They were very positive. They deserved their goal. And then I think they just ran out of steam a little bit towards the end. And Austria made a couple of changes and brought on some attacking players that just took them over the edge. And I think the third goal that Arnautovic scored was just a bit of Macedonia pushing up to try and get an equaliser and just got caught. So I can see Macedonia causing headaches, but I don't think they'll beat anybody, frankly. But it's a massive achievement for a small country like them to get
just
to
to be
European
there.
final.
I think is an achievement in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. So, right, okay. Well, as we come towards the end of the show, then we'll go back to Dan's stat. Dan the stat man.
So again, Jude Bellingham became the youngest ever player to appear in a European Championship final for any nation. Can you tell me who the previous record holder was? It's not an English player.
Not English. How far back are we talking?
2012. Euro 2012. I can give you a clue. I can either give you the nation or I can give you the player's name and you tell me the nation.
No, let's go nation.
So the nation is Netherlands.
Netherlands. 2012, so what? That's 9 years ago. Van Aanholt?
No. That position, though, I believe.
It won't be Van Bronckhorst because that would be too old.
Yeah.
It's not Royston Drenthe, is it?
No.
Okay. I was really confident with that. So left back.
Yeah, I believe he's a left back. Definitely a defender. I'm fairly certain
Has
he's a left back.
Has he played Premier League football?
Maybe he might have been at Newcastle. I could be wrong.
No, go on. You have to tell me this one.
Jetro Willems.
Jetro Willems, yeah, he did play Newcastle. Yeah. You're right. I'd have been here all night trying to guess that one, I'll be honest.
He was 18 years old when he represented the Netherlands at Euro 2012.
Wow. I must admit, I'm quite pleased that Southgate put Bellingham on.
Yeah.
Because it'll be very easy given his age to not play him. But even though he only got, 5-10 minutes at the end or whatever it was, he still put himself about. He's not afraid of a tackle.
Yeah.
And another player, because he plays central midfield, it's another reason why Henderson is probably looking at this thinking, am I getting back in this team?
Yeah. I wouldn't put Henderson in the team at all. Maybe give him, like I said, some match time against Czech Republic if we've won against Scotland as well. But I wouldn't be trying to get him back in that team.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because you could take the argument saying, well, let's give some people some match time against Czech Republic, but equally you could say, well, we're riding a crest here, we're riding a wave, let's keep riding it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want any injuries and stuff, do you? You don't want to, lose Harry Kane or something in the Czech Republic game when we're going into a qualifier. knockout game. Sorry.
Indeed. Right. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. So just as a reminder, we will be live on Friday. It will be all over our social media, as you might expect. If you haven't followed us on or subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. It'd be great. Obviously, all of our podcasts are going to go on there. So if that is your preferred medium, then do feel free to listen on there. And we will see you on Friday. I've not really entirely worked out exactly how the setup is going to be in the house yet, but we'll work it out.
Whatever your missus tells you.
Yeah, whatever I'm told to. Yeah. So yeah, it should be good. We'll all be chilling out with a drink or two. So do come and join
Dan
us.
will be on the Pepsi.
I will be on the Pepsi.
No, don't be a melt.
I'm not bloody drinking.
Well, you don't have to go mad. I'm not Joe Morton. Excellent. Right, well, thank you very much, everybody. We will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye. I'll probably have recovered by then.